and Decaying Diction in The Ovenbird by Robert Frost. Portray the ovenbird to ask more questions than answers. There are no very definitive themes besides the brevity of life, and we see this through the ordered structure, the natural order of things, and its application to our brief, diminishing lives. Robert Frost uses a lot of natural imagery and concrete and abstract imagery. The natural imagery includes the midwood and midsummer bird, and the solid tree trunks, and the flowers, and the early petal fall, and the cherry blooms. This is very natural imagery that applies to many things and many people. Also, this natural imagery is mostly concrete, and there's a progression of concrete to abstract imagery throughout the poem. It begins with the solid tree trunks, which is solid and exactly that, concrete. But as the poem progresses with time, the question that the bird frames in all but words is a very abstract type of imagery. The showers of petals is part of both. It's kind of in the middle, as it is in the middle of the poem. So the shower, the petal shower and petal fall of the cherry blooms and pear blooms, it is very pretty, and it does create the sunny day, a little bit overcast, but it's sort of a pretty fall, but it does foreshadow, and foreshadowing is more of the abstract imagery. It foreshadows a later fall that we name the fall, so that it foreshadows autumn and foreshadows a potential end, which really does end in a diminishing thing. There's also the analogy that Robert Frost uses as midsummer is to spring as 1 to 10, and the bird proposes this somewhat illogical statement, but we understand it to being that spring has more youth and more joy, and it foreshadows the end. The spring does come to an end as the petals have to fall off sometime, and it transfers to spring. There's a lot of diction regarding the time and age involving the old and the dust and a moment, and once again a lot of decaying diction too. It shows that there's later in the season, but the diminishing and the dust applies to us, and potentially death in what we see as a major theme in the Ovenbird by Robert Frost. The progression of season is seen through the diction, and from the petal fall and the flowers to the other fall that we name the fall, and the dust also. We see this through the natural imagery, but also some of the abstract imagery and diction. There are many falls and lives, seasons, and also petals. The speaker uses we once, and which is a plural collective noun, so it applies more to humanity. However, the speaker also seems very the poem is written in third person omniscient, and omniscient because the speaker seems to be experienced and very knowing of the bird and the bird's language, and he understands the bird and interprets it for the readers who may not be as understanding. Otherwise, we wouldn't know that the bird says that leaves are old and that for flowers midsummer is to spring is 1 to 10. Also, in the structure of the Ovenbird, the meter is iambic pentameter. So this is regularity and rhythm in the questions also, and that the question of what to make of a diminished thing is a regular question, and a question that humanity has, and potentially may never be able to answer. Because the bird really does ask more questions than he answers. The iambic pentameter and the rhythm of the poem mimic the bird song. Really like the regularity in questions. There's regularity in a bird song and what it's asking. There's a noticeable pattern in the rhyme, but it messes up and has some hiccups in the middle, which is also near the tone shift of On Sunny Days, a Moment Overcast, and in that general area. But after that, after the overcast, there's a more noticeable rhyme, E, E, F, G, F, G. And this also emphasizes the regularity and the understanding of this question of what to make of a diminished thing. There's more end-stopped lines at the end, which signifies that the lines come to an end as lives do. Nevertheless, the single stanza shows that there is continuity in life, and even after spring and summer, the spring and summer will come back, and once again there will be new life. Even though there's one say sure after aloud, this emphasizes the bird and the question, and the question at the end, it really frames the poem, as a speaker, frames the poem. The bird is unlike other birds in that the bird would cease, and the bird is potentially going to die, and potentially he tells us about diminishing and dust, which is like us. We're going to return to dust, dust to dust we shall return. And he's talking about diminishing even though he's on his way to diminishing too. So the bird has this message. He's not just singing, and he's not going to be like other birds because he has a message, and it's a very important question to ask. And so this dust applies to us, and it applies to humans, and that will die. But really the echoes in the solid tree trunks that sound again create this timelessness and create this repetitive question that defines kind of our lives, as we see that the tone gets darker, like the petals fall. It's initially pretty, but the diminished thing really sets the tone low. So there is a gloomy tone, but there's some acceptance in that. There's a regularity in the natural order of diminishing, and life is short, and we have to accept it.